crew and totally couldn't wait to wake up the next morning. You go to midnight, you couldn't wait to wake up to get back to work the next day, what was going to be there.
What you're really looking at in the Hades landscape is what we call a forced perspective miniature. A building in the foreground might have been a foot tall. A building midway back might have been 4 inches tall, and a building at the far distance might have been 1 inch tall. But that whole distance from foreground to background would be about 8 feet. It was very quick to make, and then thousands of tiny fiber optic bundles coming up through the bottom of the floor and into those buildings to light them up. Once you have that all in place with the lights and the buildings and the fiber optics, we filled that room with so much smoke that you couldn't see from here to the wall.
At some point in the process, and I wasn't directly involved, so I don't know exactly what happened, but I understand that Philip Dick was reasonably unhappy. Katie Haber gave me a call and said, put together the best of the best in a reel. And it was left to me to go in with a few of my key people, and he and his friend to go down and sit in the screening room. And he said very little, and I said, roll it. And it went dark. The 10 minutes of optical takes ran. The lights came up. Philip turned around, looked me right in the eyes, and he says, how is this possible? I don't understand this. He says, this feels exactly like what I had in my head when I was writing it. How does this happen? At that moment, it was probably the best moment in my career, because I said, we nailed it, we got it.
As Philip Dick was marvelling at the special effects, Ridley Scott and editor Terry Rawlings were attempting to lock down a rough cut of Blade Runner. And as they did so, they began to discard incidental scenes, such as Deckard's hospital meeting with his injured colleague Holden, excised from all released versions of the film and seen here for the very first time.
This little scene was originally scripted where he would go from Bryant's office and go interview Holden and find out what he could find from Holden about what was going on, and that's this particular scene.
What you reading?
Old favorite, Tracer Island. Deckard.
Look, friend.
It ain't like it used to be, Deck. It's tough now. These replicants aren't just a bunch of muscle miners anymore. They're no goddamn different than you or me.
What happened?
10 days ago, security at Tyrell Corp finds 3 intruders in the records room. Kills 1, 2 get away, okay? They do a routine autopsy on the one that gets aired, and what do you know, a skin job. One of the ones that busted out. Top drawer replicant, combat type, met for 6. I decided to check out all the new employees at Tyrell. I void conf 26 boring assholes when in walks this Leon somebody. Nothing special, but very big.
Were you getting anything on the machine?
Yeah, I thought maybe I was getting something. Maybe it doesn't work on these deck. Maybe I was too slow, who knows?
Maybe.
It's all over, Dad. It's a wipeout. They're almost us.
When the rough cutting was finished, Blade Runner was test screened in front of audiences to see how they'd react to Scott's dark fantasy. The results of those early tests were even more disturbing than the film itself.
We sat around in the manager's office afterwards, and it was rather bleak. And Harrison was being positive, actually, saying, I think they liked it, didn't you? I said, I don't know, right? We were waiting for the cards.
I mean, they've said it looks amazing, but what the hell's going on? And that's when all the panic really set in.
We all were just destroyed. I mean, Ridley sat there just like he'd been hit on the head with a baseball bat, and I did too.
And the decision was that we needed a clarification, we needed a voiceover.
They don't advertise for killers in a newspaper. That was my profession. Ex-cop. Ex-Blade Runner. Ex-killer.
I was there when Harrison did it, and it was just horrendous. It was like a sort of what Ridley calls Irving the Explainer, you know. My name is Deckard, and I am an android catcher, and, you know. And Harrison hated it so much that he did it really, really badly, hoping they wouldn't use it, and they did.
I never heard that from Harrison, ever, that he hated it. If he did, he never told me.
Along with Harrison's new voiceover, Blade Runner was also now saddled with a happy ending in which Deckard and Rachel escape into a lush green landscape, actually constructed from outtakes from Stanley Kubrick's horror hit The Shining.
I always remember that we had sort of 30,000 feet turn up. We wanted about 4 shots or something. So we had 30,000, every outtake he did came up, which was good, but it was tacky. The whole idea of the end was tacky, in my opinion. It always was right when they shut that door.
Although opinion was divided about Blade Runner's narration and upbeat ending, there was a chorus of approval for the score, which would become one of the defining soundtracks of sci-fi cinema and win international plaudits for Greek composer Vangelis.
He will sit and watch every frame and cue off a frame, cue off an expression of the actor. He doesn't just lay on score and say, well, that works. He goes through everything. He thinks himself into the film.
I remember, you know, when the first notes hit me, I was like, wow.
You get that, and the whole first image comes up with the city. If that doesn't knock your socks off, then you are, you know, just not there.
I loved it. I was very happy with it. I was really shocked that it didn't receive as much attention initially as I thought that it would.
I didn't think it was surprising. As I say, it was disappointing. I always hoped, well, you know, it will be.
It would have little life.
Yeah, I certainly hoped it would do a lot better, and I was a little surprised that the reviews were as bad as they were.
Well, it was a failure, basically. I mean, that's all it was.
It was a disaster. Failure is even, you know.
It was, no one liked it. It was a financial, you know, loss.
I mean, I saw the audience. They were like split. It was like the Red Sea. You know, here was the people that really were like stunned, and here were the people who were pissed off, you know. That's not LA, it's so depressing. You know, that's not my town. No, it's not, Jesus.
To me, it was never intended as a commercial film. I mean, obviously they wanted it to make money, because you don't make them to lose money. But it was more I always thought of it as more of an art film. It was like a grandiose art film.
That cost $28 million.
Yeah, a lot of money at that time. And what did it take? 17, 16? Not a good bet, really, was it?
The downbeat opening of Blade Runner in the summer of '82 was a disappointment both for the filmmakers and the financiers, who recouped only around half their investment from its initial theatrical run. But like the androids of Philip Dick's novel, Blade Runner wouldn't simply lie down and die quietly. In fact, due to the burgeoning home video market, it soon found itself a growing army of fans who discovered that each subsequent viewing unearthed new hidden treasures. And it was those fans, with their obsessive interest both in the film and its tortured production history, who eventually helped bring about a full-scale rebirth of Blade Runner, after a 70mm print of Ridley Scott's original cut was accidentally screened at the Fairfax Theatre in Los Angeles in May 1990.
I remember going there. I was working with David Fincher on Alien 3, and we went down to see it because he's an avid Ridley Scott fan. Yeah, and we saw that, no titles on it or anything. It was just sent out as it was, and fantastic. The audience reaction, that's what I thought was incredible, to be in there with them, and you can hear them saying, wow, there's no commentary and all this stuff. It was really good. It was like what we intended.
Such was the audience